Please don't waste your money on expensive pizzas. Not when you can make a cafe-style thin crust pizza without oven.
The last 2 of these 7 tips are from a chef, so watch till the end of the video. Start by adding some all-purpose flour or maida to a bowl, add some salt and mix with a whisk.
My first tip to get a cafe-style pizza at home is to get a good quality yeast. The yeast that you get at your kirane ki dukaan, i.e. these 2 brands, is not alive. We need the yeast to be alive so that the dough can rise and form a good pizza base.
To some lukewarm water, add a teaspoon of sugar and a teaspoon of active dry yeast. Yeast will feed on the sugar, so make sure it's properly dissolved. Cover it and let it bloom for 10 minutes. Know your yeast is alive when it forms bubbles like this and a thin layer of foam on top. This with a spatula slowly so that it doesn't make a mess.
Tip number 2 to get a cafe-style pizza is to knead the dough properly.
Flour and water are mixed together. Start kneading with your hand until a rough dough is formed and then add some oil to it.
To get a really good pizza base for our thin crust pizza, we need to make sure that the dough is kneaded properly, either by hand or with the help of a hand mixer. Take a small piece of the dough that you have kneaded and stretch it until the light can pass through it without it tearing. This means enough amount of gluten has formed and we can move forward.
Make a tight ball out of the dough by kneading it as shown. Use the same bowl with some oil and drop the dough ball in it. Cover it with a cling wrap or with a plate and let it rise for 90 minutes or until it is doubled. After around 90 minutes, the dough has doubled in size. Punch it down to remove all the air, knead it lightly and then divide it in 2 equal parts. Knead those dough balls for at least 2 to 3 minutes and then tuck them tightly as well so that they can rise for another 45 minutes. Place them on a greased tray and cover them lightly with a cling wrap so that it doesn't cause any resistance.
Tip number 3 to get a really nice thin crust pizza at home without oven is to roll out the pizza dough to 1 to 1.5 centimeter and pre-cook it on a really hot dry tawa until the bottom gets really nice and charred. Tip number 3 is to use a good quality pizza sauce.
If the bottom is charred and the pizza base has puffed a little, you can add 2 tablespoons of sauce to it.
The kind of sauces you find at the grocery store usually have a lot of preservatives in it and that completely ruins the taste of the pizza. I have mentioned down in the description the sauces that you should not use and the ones that you should use. Tip number 4 is to use 2 to 3 types of cheeses.
Using mozzarella and cheddar.
Mozzarella has no flavor, so you need to have good mixture of those 2 cheeses. Tip number 5 is a tip I learned from a chef, is to use a cheese topping cheese method.
Small layer of those 2 cheeses, add your favorite toppings and then add more cheese on top.
Tip number 6 is to not crowd your pizza. Do not go overboard with everything. For a good cafe style pizza, there needs to be a balance between the sauce, cheeses and toppings. I know we all love an extra cheesy pizza. For it to be a nice balanced pizza, you need to have everything in a little less amount than you expect. All the details of the quantity will be mentioned in the description.
Reduce the flame to a medium-low, cover it with a plate and let the cheese melt slowly. Move the pizza to a wire rack or a plate and then add some oregano, chili flakes and optionally some dried parsley. Cheese has melted nicely and has a nice crispy bottom. If you want to make this a slightly healthier version, I have mentioned some tips in the description on how you can do that. The bottom really resembles a cafe-style pizza.
Now is my favorite time to try the pizza.
The instant happiness that you get from eating a really good pizza, you can see it on my face here.
So good. And so similar to the cafe-style pizza. I hope you try this recipe. Invite your friends over, turn it into a pizza party, save some money. If you like this video, do like it. It does help me a lot. Consider subscribing. That helps me even more. Bye.